I have always had a love affair with city life. Grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where 3 great rivers meet to frame a photogenic city, and you can actually get a great view of things from the top of Mount Washington. Well worth the visit. When I arrived in Rochester as a student at the Eastman School of Music, I was thrilled to be smack dab in the middle of town. I lived in the Eastman dorm at the corner of Princeton and University, and every day as I walked to school I felt that rush that comes from encountering big buildings and lots of traffic and all kinds of stores, getting them full in the face. I wanted to get to know my new burg, so on Sundays I took long walks. Each Sunday in a different direction. West Main, Joseph Avenue, East Avenue, South Avenue. Each time I discovered something new about my new home, and each discovery sent me to the local history division of the Rundell Library on South Avenue for a little enlightenment. That's when I found out about things like the Baden Street Settlement House in Bull's Head and the Sibley and Gleason families, the Erie Canal and the subway, and of course, neighborhoods, lots of them ringing the city center, all of them full of vitality, and each one with a unique identity. As I walked in each direction, I couldn't help but notice the ring of highway that surrounded the city center. It looked like a choker chain to prevent urban sprawl. And when I searched out its history, I discovered that the inner loop had been recently opened to relieve traffic congestion in the downtown area. My first thought was that it would also relieve the city of human traffic as well. Little did I realize, I was predicting the downfall of downtown. My walks continued through my undergraduate years, and that's when I began to notice a number of houses south of the inner loop were boarded up. Back to the library, I began to read about the South Wedge and the infamous Genesee Expressway. It was a planned highway running from the southern tier, muscling its way right through the heart of one of Rochester's neighborhoods. It would connect with that inner loop abomination, so now cars and trucks could blast through and around the city and never have to even slow down to wave to the dwindling number of pedestrians along the way. Of course, it had the blessing of business interests. Lord knows why. Apparently, they couldn't see what it would do to the vitality of the city, let alone to the neighborhood it was about to permanently bisect, effectively creating a wasteland on either side. One day during my walks near Meggs and Linden, I happened to notice an older woman canvassing from door to door. I approached her and asked her what she was selling. She said, "I'm not selling, I'm rousting." And then she put a piece of paper in my hand. It was a broadside announcing a neighborhood meeting to stop the corridor. Her name was Marie Daly. She was a retired teacher who turned social activist. She told me that the only way to stop big government was to meet them head on. I went to the meeting, and I saw the map of the planned highway. I met Otto Henderberg and John Briggs. They introduced me to the Southeast Area Coalition Organization and their grassroots push to stop the highway. I thought, oh boy, talk about David facing a corporate Goliath. But they were determined, very determined. Now, I had been involved in a number of Stop the War marches, and I had grown pretty jaded about this kind of fight. Still, I couldn't help but cheer them on. Call me a cockeyed optimist. Their commitment was positively captivating. And somehow, they managed to stop the project in 1973, for a time. But 2 years later, the money powers tried it again, and in the intervening time, the Department of Transportation managed to buy up dozens of homes in the Swillburg area. And property owners stopped maintaining their homes. They figured their houses would be sucked up by the eminent domain giant. Houses were being demolished. Things looked pretty bleak. But the coalition didn't stop their opposition. And by this time, They had a good number of community members on their side. And then came that historic City Council meeting. It was in East High School Auditorium in September of 1975. I was there, along with about 1,000 folks who loudly voiced their opposition to the project. It was one of those moments when City Council actually listened to their constituents, and they voted 6-3 against the project. But it wasn't over. The daunting task of rebuilding the neighborhoods has not been easy. And for that, we can all thank the Southeast Area Coalition for their leadership in bringing Swillburg back to life. Take a walk. Take lots of them. There's a lot to learn and plenty to see. The area now is an historic treasure, and it's well worth the visit. And by the way, welcome home.